In today's show, the Trailblazers have a new owner coming in and have a new arena deal to finalize. What are the holdups and what are the risks as the Blazers try to navigate arena renovation? Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of arena funding. The Trailblazers are about to be officially sold, with the deal to Tom Dundon expected to be finalized at the end of March. But they are also dealing with this, rain cloud, at least situation hanging over their heads, which is that the NBA has made it very clear through Adam Silver that the team needs a new arena, be it a totally new building, which seems very unlikely in this fine city, or a significantly renovated arena. And Portland lawmakers have stated that they are, and Oregon lawmakers as well, both at the city level and the state level, have stated that it is a priority to make the necessary, pass the necessary legal acts and whatever bills and funding plans in order to retain the team. But as of right now, I'm recording this on February 10th, and you're listening to Wednesday, February 11th's program. That money doesn't exist yet. There are, and the further we get down the line, there is some real inherent risk in just having not having specifics out there, not having the specifics and the money allocated. So we'll talk about all of that in today's show. Plus, Bill Oram of The Oregonian is going to join the program later. He is the columnist for The Oregonian. He wrote a story earlier this week that published on Monday about his real concerns that the Blazers could leave Portland. We'll talk to him about that, and plus this sort of why he feels that it could be a risk, although I'm not sure that is shared everywhere. In fact, I will just say this up front before we get into my conversation with Bill a little bit later. I'm not sure I share that concern. I think it is right. Let me just put this up front. I've said this a bunch. If you're a long-time listener, shout out to my everydayers, is that there is a caveat, is like, every time we've heard reporting about Tom Dundon, it's plans to keep the team in Portland, hopes to keep the team in Portland, committed to keeping the team in Portland. But it's always a if and as long as, and that is as long as there is money to build an arena. And let's also be clear up front, you don't need a new arena. If you're going to the games, it is completely functional for your purposes. Quite frankly, as a media member working behind the scenes, I'm kind of in the guts more than many fans are. Like, it ain't the nicest place, but it is totally functional behind the scenes. Like, it could, I guess I would like better media food and a better workspace to do my job, but like, I don't actually need that. And functionally, for watching a basketball game, it's comfortable, it's nice, and it's not even clear to me why a renovated arena paid for by the public actually makes you more money. I'm not 100% sure how it pencils to make you significantly more money, but that is beside the point, because the point is that this is the standard ownership play across all of North American professional sports, and particularly across the league, is that when you have leverage to get a new arena, the ownership, be it incoming ownership or incumbent ownership, leverages the public to get that money. We've seen it recently in Oklahoma City as well as San Antonio, and sort of in the not too distant past as well as Indianapolis, with public and private funding to build out the new arena and plaza around the arena for the Indiana Pacers as well as the Indiana Fever. So, like, this is not uncommon. It's not unique to Portland. It's not unique to the Trailblazers. And it always has been this obvious leverage play, right? Give me this arena, give me all the funding for this arena, right? That's the threat. And that is what the incoming ownership and Tom Dundon, he gets to make this play, right? I think is reasonable to quibble over using public money to build a giant arena for someone who's buying something that's $4.25 billion. It's reasonable to quibble over why someone who can afford to purchase this thing doesn't just pay for it themselves. Right? Like, sure. I think all of those are very, very, very valid concerns. You are well heard in this particular podcast studio, but it doesn't, at this point, that debate is a debate to say, I am comfortable with the team leaving town, and if you are, great, fine. But I think the real truth is that without this money, without public money allocated to make significant renovations to the Moda Center, there is it becomes a real concern that the team could move to a new locale. So what are they actually haggling over? On February 2nd, the Oregon legislative session opened in Salem. And so now they have a chance at the state level to pass some funding bills that would create a mechanism to pay for the arena at the state level. The problem is that it's not just the state level that would need to allocate that funding. The bill introduced on Monday, February 9th by Senator Rob Wagner of District 19, shout out to West Lynn or Lake Oswego and Tualatin. Basically, it would create a state-backed funding for arena renovations, but that bill would be $360 million. The Blazers and the local government organizations are trying to get $600 million earmarked. And you might say, what is that $600 million for, Mike? Show me. Nobody knows. There ain't a bit of public information about that $600 million. From what I can tell, this is a number that they sort of worked backwards from. How much money did San Antonio get? How much money did Oklahoma City get? I think notably in Raleigh, where Tom Dundon is renovating the area around where the Hurricanes play hockey, and it's close to a collegiate football stadium right there. Shout out to beautiful Carter Finley Stadium. Go Wolfpack. The total cost for the project is it's under $400 million, right? It is significantly less, and they're not building a new arena; they're renovating one. So I think the $600 million is mostly. It's almost just like, to me, it reads like a balloon promise. We have this much money. Look how much money we've raised. Please don't run away, Mr. Dundon, because he's got all the leverage right now. That stinks for us as a community, but it is just the reality of the situation that we have walked into. So this state bill, which has been introduced but not passed, would raise up to $360 million. That would leave the county, Multnomah County, where Portland is located, and the city of Portland to raise the rest of the funds. Under sort of where the funds would come from is part of the challenge here. Portland, like Multnomah County, have publicly floated that they'll say they're going to make a $75 million commitment. That's according to reporting from the Oregonian published on February 5th. So state lawmakers, $360 million. Multnomah County level, $75 million. And so then you're going to be on the hook for the rest of that money from the city of Portland. The city, they have a plan to contribute about $50 million of the money that they would still owe. It's about $115 million if you're doing the math. $50 million in the business license tax. So that would be the sale of the Blazers, the capital gains on that, as well as revenue from Portland spectator fees. So that's like ticket revenue, right? So ticket revenue and the sale and the capital gains on the building, that gets you to $50 million. But then there's other money that they would have to raise. And part of the sort of idea that they have for raising that other money locally is to pull from the Portland Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund. And building an arena does not exactly, to me, seem like something that would fit under the Climate Act, something like that is like a Clean Energy Act. Like you could argue that it's, making the building like the most energy efficient building in the state is somehow tied to clean energy. And maybe they do end up allocating that money from there. But I would say it is not an obvious linkage. Build new arena equals clean energy fund, right? That is, I don't think those things are related. It would probably stretch the definition of that. And according to reporting from the Oregonian, Mayor Keith Wilson here locally in Portland could potentially ask local officials to pull as much as $75 million from existing projects that would be covered by the Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund to fund this arena program. This is like, you could call it getting creative with the funding, and I think that's a generous read on it. You could call it not having the cash, which I think is maybe more accurate to say, and having to reallocate from money that was very specifically designed to go to other things. So that's where all the hurdles are. I want to talk a little bit about kind of the path forward and the risks in the second segment, and then I will bring Bill on to have a discussion about some of the reporting he's done and why he remains somewhat concerned. Join me in that second segment. We will do just that. First, though, I want to tell you that today's program is brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right candidates you need, the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if that's what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move, because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your job post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to people who fit your specific criteria. The skills, the certifications, the location, all of that. So if you're hiring, you don't want someone who can help. You'd want someone with real experience who can jump right in and be an asset to your company. Plus, using Indeed, it's going to save you time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who actually are a real life fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Today's program is also brought to you by the good folks over there at Game Time. And you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to get you in the arena because it's basketball season, and being in the arena is just fantastic. You get the crowd, you get the big moments, you get to be at a place with the people you love and care about. But getting tickets, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast and without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. So you can pull up the Game Time app. You can look at an upcoming NBA game that you want to attend. The venue that you're going to go to pulls up right in the app. Super clean, super easy to use. A couple clicks and you've got your tickets. Plus, you're going to see all-in pricing up front, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. Everything's quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. All right. If you're an everyday listener to this podcast, I appreciate you, but why not make that lifestyle official and join the Locked On Everydayer Club? $5 a month or $50 a year gets you access to an free version of this podcast. So it's the audio feed of this podcast without any interruptions, plus access to the members-only Discord where you can chop it up with me and your fellow Blazers fans. The link for more info is in the show notes, lockedonblazers.supercast.com. Okay, so I don't think this fight and this hassle are unique to Portland. I don't think that exactly what's going on in the political mechanism should be a surprise. I think the timing is adds a little bit of angst because it's like new ownership coming in here in a few months, arena deal, the land lease about to expire in a few years. You've kind of known that they probably needed to make some renovations. And then Adam Silver says during the sale process a few months ago, Portland needs a new arena, putting a little bit of pressure, his thumb on the scale to push this process forward. Everyone is kind of leveraging the Blazers. And when you have that leverage, then the onus becomes on, the political mechanisms within our community to step up and make it happen. Like as a voting public, we've already elected these people. We don't get to vote again. So it's kind of just out of your hands as a fan. I don't personally believe that there is like a real deal flight risk with the Blazers. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think that eventually this gets settled, and that because $600 million is not a budget item, it's a wish. That if the Blazers can only secure $500 million, but they have that in place, I don't think that Tom Dundon has nearly as much leverage to run away and hide if he has $500 million, earmarked for him to renovate the arena over the next 5 years. And with Senate Bill 1501, proposed and assuming that it passes, you start once the state commits $360 million of funding, it seems like it really gets the momentum downhill at the county level and the city level to say, hey, we've done our part in Salem. Now you all in Multnomah County and in Portland have to also follow suit. So we will see how that plays out. But what I wanted to do is bring on Bill Oram of The Oregonian. He's a columnist at The Oregonian, and he's been reporting this story through all of the first week of February and beyond. He's done some of the best reporting sort of around the sale of the team, but he had a really strong column, a strongly opinionated column on Monday where he said very plainly that he thinks that the Blazers could leave Portland. He is worried. So what I wanted to bring Bill on here is to talk about that worry, why he shares that opinion, and the details surrounding all of the challenges facing the Blazers ahead, with an eye to the legal situations and the financing situations that have to, that have to pass, the legislative actions that have to go through in order for this to not be a risk. So without further ado, here's my chat with Bill. Joining me now, the columnist from the Oregonian Oregon Live, Bill Oram. Bill, yesterday you wrote a column where you were worried that the Blazers might be headed for an exit, headed for leaving town. Shortly thereafter, Senator Rob Wagner introduced Senate Bill 1501 to the floor. You said in that column that you hope you are wrong. Here we are, a little more than 24 hours later. Probably by the time this publishes, actually more like 48. Do you feel like you are closer to being wrong than when you first wrote that?
No,
What?
no, because the bill is only a piece of this entire thing. It's a piece of the arena funding. The state piece would be bonding of $360 million toward a total $600 million, the goal of a $600 million capital stack toward a renovation, plus ongoing the funds from the city for all the ongoing deferred maintenance, capital projects, operations, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a much bigger question about, will this very complicated, high wire act, as I've called it, of funding, but involving three governments, the city, the county, and the state, be able to come together and deliver a package that is going to, frankly, make the NBA feel like Portland is stepping up to keep the Blazers. Because, I guess if I could wind it back a little bit, Mike, there's really a handful of factors here that have me feeling like, and not just me, by the way, like I'm not out here on an island, in terms of business, government leaders, like it's pretty well understood that what's at stake here is keeping the Blazers. And I've found it, and the reason I wrote what I wrote yesterday in such stark terms is I've been surprised that it has not been more widely understood, because in those in those circles, it's just very openly understood. So you have several things. You have a sale of a team, right? You have a new owner coming in who does not have ties to Portland. Regardless of the situation with the arena, that would always cause some level of agita among a fan base, right? You have Portland as a city really struggling to, to keep corporations in business. A lot of urban flight from Portland over the last decade, really. You have an arena lease that is expiring in 2030, and I know 2030 feels like it's a ways off, but from the standpoint of this of a long-term lease, it might as well be tomorrow.
Right.
And also in 2030,
very short in terms of land leases in general, too, like the way real estate works in general. Those are usually between 10 is a very small number for land leases. We're talking 50 to 100 years is a typical land lease, just to offer some perspective.
the Blazers had a 30-year lease on the building, or on the land originally, that was supposed to be up in 2025. They got a bridge to 2030. The clock is ticking on that. And then you have the Final Four, the women's Final Four coming in 2030. And while the Final Four coming here in 2030 wasn't contingent on an arena remodel, it was a big part of the pitch that Sport Oregon and all of its partners, the Blazers, the city, that they all put forward when they pitched the Final Four. So it's seen as pretty imperative that, like, when the Final Four comes, that the building is ready to meet the moment and can be sort of a postcard for Portland, especially given what Portland looked like 10 years before this 2030 Final Four. So all of those things kind of create this confluence of, can we get this done? And if not, what does that say about Portland and Portland's ability to step up for this for this arena. And by the way, the other thing is, I just need to highlight, we know it's the oldest unrenovated building in the NBA. Adam Silver made it very clear when he said Portland is likely going to need a new arena. So it creates a scenario where if this does not get approved in this session, you are looking at not being able to get anything done in the legislature until 2027. And at that point, you no longer have the time to do your 3 summers of renovations that the Blazers feel like they need to do on the building because they want to do 27, 28,
Right.
29. So now if you push this to the 2027 legislature, you are not getting 3 summers of renovations done to be ready for the Final Four. And also, if this does not get passed and does not get through, the message you're sending to Tom Dundon is that, Portland and Oregon are not ready to step up to the plate. Well, he's going to inherit an expiring arena lease, and with no guarantee of funding and no mechanism to go get it from the state for a full year. So what do you think he's going to do in that first year of ownership of the Trailblazers? He's going to go see what Nashville has to offer. If expansion hasn't landed in Vegas and Seattle yet, like we assume is coming, like you go take a meeting with them and see what the realities are in Washington and Nevada. You go to Kansas City, Kansas, or Missouri. I mean, I'm surprised people aren't talking about Vancouver. Like there's just but Washington or Canada, by the way. Like, can you imagine a worst case scenario than the Blazers moving to Vancouver economically? Like from a fan standpoint, okay, fine, you can still go to the games. They're still the Portland Trailblazers, but all of that economic benefit goes to Washington. That would be, I mean, a disaster for Oregon, but probably a decent outcome for Blazers fans.
Yeah, they're fine with it.
I think that like this, and I don't think any of this is really all that unintentional, by the way. Like I think that this is the way this was designed to go because it creates maximum leverage for the owner and maximize the value of the team. And Jody put it up for sale. So you sell the team with an expiring arena lease and uncertainty about the future of the arena. Well, that's going to increase the value if rather than the team has to be in Portland because it has a ironclad 30-year lease. Like, why didn't she get the lease done before she sold the team? Because it's more valuable if you can move it. If you can leverage the possibility of moving it to get what you want, either in Portland or from someone else.
We'll get back to the rest of my conversation with Bill Oram in a moment. First, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's here. It's the Olympic season. The Winter Games have arrived. And if you're anything like me, you're watching a bunch of people ski in different ways. You can lock in for the events, and you're only going to get to see them 4 years. And FanDuel wants to make sure that you've got a little bit of extra activity to do while you're locking in for those once every 4-year events. From medal counts to individual events, you can find your angle on the sports you care about the most. FanDuel is going to give you more ways to stay connected to the action if you're looking for action on the Winter Olympics. Hockey, speed skating, curling, whatever niche event you want, the biathlon, if you're into skiing and shooting, if you're into other versions of skiing, they got a lot of those too. Plus, skiing with one ski called snowboarding, it's all there. FanDuel has got your Olympics action right there in the app. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better place to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, so listen to Locked on Blazers. Here's the rest of my conversation with Oregonian columnist Bill Oram. Okay, 2 questions there. Do you think that the Allen estate had a general sense of what this bill would look like during the negotiations, like during the package of selling the team? Do you think they had a sense of what the public funding bill would look like? Because obviously, I think I agree that you're offering leverage to new ownership, but the outlines of the process of, hey, it's going to sell here, and this is what the political mechanism will look like to sort of get you the funding you need. And 2, do you view Senate Bill 1501 as just sort of inevitable? Was this didn't come as a surprise? This is just like a sort of small inevitable step, I guess, in any order you want to take those.
I think that this was more or less kind of the mechanism that was going to get deployed, especially once baseball was able to argue the $800 million jock tax and get that cap raised. What's interesting about this bill in contrast to that one is there's existing tax dollars coming into the state from Blazers players, Blazers employees. Those income tax dollars heretofore have gone into Oregon's general fund. So what this bill proposes is diverting those dollars that currently exist and go to essential services in the state of Oregon to what they're calling the Oregon Arena Fund, and
Right.
then that gets it gets rerouted into these renovations. Um, I think there's going to be some hand wringing over the idea of taking existing dollars from the state, unlike baseball, where there are no baseball players. There are no Major League Baseball players bringing income to the state of Oregon. The counterpoint that you will hear is that if the flip side is that the Blazers leave the state of Oregon, those tax dollars leave as well. And this is bigger than the Blazers. The Blazers are obviously the tentpole tenant of Moda Center, but the building needs a lot of back end upgrades to be able to accommodate big touring shows. To attract the kinds of concerts that and this is not a is it good enough for 2025 question. It's a is it good enough for 2045 question. Is it good enough for the next 15, 20 years? Do I think the Allen estate knew that this was the plan? Yes. I think that this was always sort of the 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 path toward funding the arena. I suppose when you sell the team, you don't know who's going to step forward. Maybe there is somebody who comes in who is. I mean, it seems so funny to think that somebody who just bought the Portland Trail Blazers doesn't qualify as fabulously wealthy, but like how I don't know how you describe like the even greater tier of billionaire.
Right.
Tom Dundon is going to be the controlling owner, which requires 15% ownership. Um, and but like he is not a cash rich billionaire. His wealth is tied up in the hurricanes and some of his other investments. Why doesn't he put $600 million of his own money into this arena? Because he doesn't have $600 million.
Right. He's not liquid like that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I suppose it was always possible that a Bezos level owner came in and didn't care and like was just going to pay for it themselves. But more than likely, this was the way it was going to go. And the second question, it just refresh me.
Was this bill inevitable? Like you said, it didn't really change your mind, but the bill is like inevitable. I guess
The bill.
too, and I'll leave you here. Was this inevitable, and what is the step sort of in the legal process, legislative process, that would make you say like, you know what, it's going to happen. They're going to stay. Like, what is it for you that would tip the scales?
So I think that there's. So I think if the three governments can come together and say we are working together to provide $600 million is a very nice round number. It's also very arbitrary because there's no
100%.
So like, you don't know what it's going to cost. It's an arbitrary number, but I think it's a symbol of a commitment. And I think if there's no commitment and Tom Dundon tells Adam Silver or the Board of Governors, I need to start looking around, there's not much pushback because you don't have a deal. You don't have an arena to play in 4 years. You don't have a building. If there is a $600 million investment of public money saying we will work on making the necessary arena improvements, I think the NBA tells Tom Dundon, you need to work with what you have because there's an important legacy in Portland for us to preserve. So I think the bill getting to the Senate floor was inevitable because it's imperative that they get something done. I think if nothing happens this legislative session, I think that we are in real trouble. And I don't want to, I wrote in the column that, I'd rather be Chicken Little and be wrong and I think a different way of saying that is like, I'd rather be loud and wrong than be quiet and right. Like, I think that this is a legitimate risk. And I think most lawmakers and people and policymakers understand that. Like, I really, really, really do. That doesn't mean that there's not obstacles when you're talking about three different governments with three different personalities, three different politics, three different priorities. I think you're seeing that a little bit with the county and the city, where the city and the county both are anticipating coming into a windfall of tax dollars from the sale of the team. And the city has said, we'll put that right back into the investment of the building. And the Blazers look to the county and say, hey, are you going to do the same? And the county's like, we could really use that $40 million. And so that's where you're encountering some resistance. And there are going to be issues along the way, at the legislature, if the bill gets to sort of, if it can get to a majority in the Senate, then like it'll end up looking unanimous. You know what I mean? Or it could fail. I mean, like, because if once it's going to pass, everybody wants to look like they were on board. If it looks, if it's testier, it may not be that cut and dried. So I think that a good faith effort in this moment to have essentially a ready-made package on Tom Dundon's desk the day that he takes over the team, he loses a lot of power to be able to leverage moving the team and to be able to go say, I'm going to go look around. I wrote this. I don't necessarily think he is scheming to move the team. I think he's fine with the team being in Portland. Maybe it's even a preference, but it's going to be on his terms where he's going to get what he wants. And like,
Yeah.
and so like, that's where it sort of is what it is, that if we want the team to stay here, and if we view the $670 million of economic impact that, the Moda Center provides for Portland each year, then we need to figure out how to make this happen. And I think that there is significant angst. I know there is significant angst that, this is not a state that is great at getting things done on tight timelines. We saw that with the transportation bill last year. Like, Oregon is uniquely capable of Oregoning things. And if that happens with the Blazers, we may be left empty-handed. And that's what I hope people understand as they, as they watch this unfold, because a lot of this feels procedural and it feels like, oh, scare tactics to get what we want. Like, I think that there's real substance behind the scare tactics.
The truth is that if you do not get the funding in this metropolitan area, you will get it somewhere else. And that's the cold truth of running these teams. Bill, I know you got to run, and I already kept you too long. I appreciate the time. We will follow along as we kind of see what happens in the Senate, as well as the rest of the Portland's legal wing. Thanks for your time, Bill.
I'm just going to add one thing, Mike.
Please.
I know I told you I had an out, and now I'm going to keep talking. But
yeah,
I just like the other thing.
5 more minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
I do. Like, we need to keep going. The other thing is, like, no owner is going to come in and sign a long-term lease in a building when he doesn't know what that building is going to look like, or he doesn't know if he's going to be able to make improvements to the building. Like, the lease is expiring. The idea that like Tom Dundon would come in and like make a commitment to Portland and a commitment to play at Moda Center, for 20 years, and just have faith that the building will get upgraded over that time, would not be a reasonable business decision. So there's an order of operations here that is important. You need to be able to show your owner that like there's and again, this is a city-owned building now. Like, the Blazers dumped this building on the city when they
He dumped the building on the city specifically to be able to get public funds. They didn't do this for any other reason than to get public funds. Like that.
Oh, this was always
no material difference in them selling the building to the city and not. The only difference is because it's a quote unquote publicly owned building, you can now get public funding to upgrade it.
And I would just say that like this has been, every step of the way has been kind of designed to get to this moment where there is the ability to leverage the team's portability, and this is where, like, when people say like the Allen estate, they're complicit in this too, right? Like, I mean, I don't think Jody Allen would have ever moved the team. I don't think Paul would have ever wanted the team moved, but you create value by at least creating the lane for the team to be moved. And so I think that this is a calculated risk that the Allen estate was willing to take in terms of the way the sale and was structured and the timing of the sale. Like, if Jody's driving priority was to ensure that the team could never leave Portland, there's a lot that could have been done before the team was put up for sale, right? Like, this could all have happened. This could all be done.
Yeah.
Right. And you could have done all of this. The upgrades could have happened already. And then you saw the team with a new arena and a long-term lease. But what's the value of the team with a long-term lease in Portland, which, I mean, we didn't even get into the fact that, Portland is a difficult place to do business. Sponsorship dollars are scant. The revenue streams of owning a team in Portland are just much less than in a lot of other places. And so that would have affected the value of the team in a sale. So this was all designed to sell the team for as much as possible, and create maximum leverage for the seller and then for the buyer, once he got here.
Bill, thank you for your time. Thank you for giving us 3.5 extra minutes of your time, even though you're now late for whatever you're going to go do. Dear listeners, you can check Bill's workout in the Oregonian on Oregon Live. Appreciate it, Bill.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this, Mike. I hope people, I hope people are understanding it, and I hope I'm doing an okay job of explaining it both here and in print. I, you know, I think I'll just say this. Like, I got a text from one of my colleagues yesterday who read it, and well, I mean, I think it was Ryan Clark, and he tweeted the same thing. So I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. He was like, wait a minute, there's actually a chance this could happen. Like, what? Like, you've scared the shit out of me this morning. Like, and I think that is probably the appropriate reaction. I don't necessarily believe the team will leave, because I think that people will understand the urgency of making sure it doesn't happen. But more than ever, I think there is a legitimate path where it could happen. So people need to step up.
All right. Thanks so much.
Just one more thing, but I'm kidding. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks again to Bill for joining the program. The Blazers close out their pre-All-Star schedule with a back-to-back, Minnesota and Utah on the road. Blazers play the Timberwolves this evening, so tomorrow's show we will recap everything that happened in that game against the Wolves. Be sure to come back for that one. It's what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. I appreciate you listening. Tell your friends about the podcast. I will talk to you soon.